This series opens with Heruki Nano, a normal young man living with his 4 sisters. One morning, he is startled awake by the sound of his alarm after falling asleep while assisting his younger sister Yayoi with her studies. At one point, we see Yuzuki and Satsuki, the younger sisters, enter the room and ask Heruki to assist wake Yayoi up. To do so, the younger sisters start teasing him, forcing Heruki to unintentionally touch Yayoi, waking her up. Yayoi strikes Heruki after being woken up. Just thereafter, Matsuki, the oldest sister, walks in and chastises Yayoi and Heruki for their antics. To terminate the quarrel, she threatens to contact their mother, which causes them to immediately cease because they are afraid their mother will take away their allowance. We then witness Heruki getting ready in the toilet to go study, despite his sister's insistence that he let them get ready first. Finally, the episode concludes with the 4 siblings departing their home in search of their different schools. Heruki was watching a horror movie one night when he noticed several eyes staring at him from outside his door, which terrified him. The next scene shows Yayoi changing, and she notices the same eyes as before. When Heruki glances through the door of his room, he recognizes Yuzuki and Satsuki. The girls explain to him that they are completing an assignment about their family in which they must describe each of their relatives. Then Matsuki enters and begins complaining, urging that they complete their homework properly. The little girls catch up, and once finished, they begin to read what they have prepared. They begin with Heruki, explaining that he is the only boy in the family, that he is a geek who is obsessed with video games, that he is not athletic, and that he is easily afraid. They then move on to Yayoi, emphasizing her athletic abilities, and conclude with Matsuki, characterizing her as a superb role model for her sisters, an intimidating figure who excels in both academics and sports. At the conclusion of the day, the girls return home from school pleased, telling Heruki that they received the highest mark on their homework. On another day after school, Heruki returns home and discovers Matsuki sleeping on his bed, clad just in her uniform top and skirt. Our protagonist attempts to rouse her up but is unable, so he departs just as his sisters arrive. Matsuki wakes up and appears in her uniform, but one of her stockings is clearly missing. Heruki rushes in to help her, causing Yayoi to misread the situation and attack him. After that, Yayoi leaves to play, and Matsuki, along with Yayoi, retreats to change, leaving Heruki perplexed and beaten, feeling horrible because he simply sought to preserve his older sister's appearance. At the end of the day, Matsuki goes to take a shower, and before she enters, Heruki brings her a towel, recalling a prior event in which she forgot her underwear and ordered him to retrieve it, but he was spotted by Yayoi and hit. Heruki later returns to his room and discovers Matsuki laying on his bed reading a magazine, covered only in the towel he had given her. He complains to her, but she responds that she finds it uncomfortable to get dressed straight after her shower and intends to stay that way for a bit. However, she does fall asleep. In this chapter, we witness the entire family shopping in the store. Yayoi proposes that Heruki buy rice first, and he accepts but grudgingly. Even though he has difficulty carrying the rice, he decides to take it anyhow. Matsuki and the girls are drawn to a free sample and approach it with lovely looks. Matsuki apologizes for the small girl's actions, but she eventually agrees and tries a sample. Following that, they visit each stall one at a time, trying what they have to offer, until one of the merchants gives the girls something. They remember they still need to buy curry, and even though Heruki prefers spicy curry, they decide to go with a moderate one so that the girls can eat it without any problems. When they come home, they prepare dinner, and the girls are concerned that the food will be spicy, but they end up enjoying it very much because it is not. Another day, we see Satsuki waiting for Heruki to arrive home. When he arrives, the girl gives him a manga, which they both read. Heruki begs Satsuki to read it first or simultaneously, but she prefers not to, so Heruki accepts her decision. Later, he encounters Yuzuki and asks if she plans to read the manga, but she claims she won't comprehend it. Then Heruki asks her to torment his sister a little, but Yuzuki corrects him, saying that their teacher has taught them not to do terrible things while placing clothespins in Haruki's hair. Finally, Satsuki finishes reading, and the 2 girls go outside to play, leaving Heruki with the clothespins on his head. Later, Satsuki want to enter the house, and when they do, they turn on the television precisely in time to see their favorite anime. Heruki advises the little girl to get away from the TV, but she ignores him. Yayoi enters at this point and explains that when Satsuki is deeply involved in anything she is passionate about, she does not listen to anyone. Yuzuki also notes that Satsuki knows when her favorite anime will be broadcast without having to look at the clock. When the anime concludes, the girls go play in her room, and we watch the little girls having a good time. Satsuki emphasizes that the pledges she makes are extremely essential. At the end of the day, Satsuki continues to watch anime, but Heruki grows bored and asks Yuzuki whether it hurts her that her sister ignores him. Yuzuki responds that he will not do anything his sister does not want. In the following chapter, we see a concerned Heruki enter his room and discover Matsuki in a peculiar stance on his bed. She tells him she will teach him everything, but he rejects, seeing it as a double meaning, and says he can study on his own. Matsuki is saddened and explains that she had also asked Yayoi to teach her, but Yayoi has since departed. However, we later see her studying in her room, and she takes the chance to ask Heruki to teach her because she believes he is a wonderful instructor. Heruki accepts, but quickly discovers that Yayoi does not understand what he is teaching. He examines her previous examinations and discovers that her problem is multiplication. Heruki chooses to write all of the multiplication tables on a sheet of paper so she can practice. At that point, the little girls enter to say goodbye because they are about to sleep, wishing Yayoi well for her exam. However, the girls tell Heruki that they received the highest results on their math exam, making Yayoi feel even worse. The next day, Yayoi returns home and tries to avoid Heruki when he inquires about her exam, leading him to believe she performed poorly on the test. However, he stops her, and as they attempt to flee, they both trip, and Heruki falls on top of his sister. Just then, Matsuki appears, sees them in that condition, and freezes, mistaking it for her fault for asking them to get along better. Inside the house, the little girls are dressed in bikinis. Yayoi asks why, and they explain that they have swimming lesson that day. This piques Yayoi's interest, and she informs Matsuki that she is eager to go to the beach. Matsuki clarifies that it is not yet the season. Regardless, Yayoi comes up with a great idea. Heruki returns home and notices that it is terribly hot. When he arrives, he is surprised to see his sisters clothed in bikinis. The scenario is misread, and Yayoi punches him, chastising him for not coming to the beach last year because he needed to take admission tests. Heruki informs her that they can vacation this summer, but Yayoi reminds him that it is now her turn to take examinations. Heruki then goes to his room, but Yayoi throws her bikini at him, forcing him to change before going outdoors. Later, the girls decide to use an inflatable pool from when they were younger. However, they find that they no longer fit in due to their growth. Despite this, they find ways to have fun within it. When the small girls arrive home in the evening, they discover that their 3 siblings are extremely chilly. In this chapter, Satsuki is reading a manga about twins who look nothing alike, and because they don't look alike, she believes they aren't sisters. At that point, Matsuki walks in and says she thinks she's adopted since if they were sisters, they should look alike. Heruki enters the room unexpectedly and notices his sister's sadness. Yuzuki asks Heruki whether he thinks she's adopted, and he shows them a picture of Matsuki when she was younger, when she looked just like Yuzuki, proving that she is not adopted. Yuzuki begins to question again, because Heruki resembles their father, Yayoi resembles their mother, as do Satsuki and Matsuki, but she does not resemble anyone. Yuzuki, determined to get answers, enters their parents' room in search of proof. Matsuki notices her curiosity and, upon entering the room, gives her a picture of their grandmother, who looks exactly like Yuzuki. Just then, Yayoi comes, depressed, and informs them that her grades have dropped again. She claims that everyone gets good marks except her, and that this proves she must be adopted because she is not as brilliant at arithmetic as her siblings. The next day, Yuzuki runs up to Heruki and unexpectedly hugged him. Satsuki appears at the same time and inquires about her sister's activities. Yuzuki anxiously responds that it is time for dinner without explanation. Yuzuki sits next to Heruki at supper, leading him to assume that she tainted his food. He starts eating nervously, but then sees his meal is fine and settles down. Heruki retires to his room after dinner and discovers Yuzuki there, who requests that he read her a story. Yuzuki tells Heruki that she loves him in an honest moment, which confuses him. At that point, Satsuki enters and shows Heruki an anime she had been watching the day before, in which a girl plays a joke on her brother. Satsuki says that Yuzuki was doing the same thing, which calms Heruki. The next day, Yuzuki admits that she was merely playing with him. One night, Heruki awakens to discover Matsuki on top of him. Out of curiosity, he asks her why, and she says that she needed to ask him a favor. At her school, they are preparing a play, and because no one wanted to play the princess, she agreed. But now she must kiss the prince, and she has never kissed anyone, so she has no idea how to fake it. That is why she went looking for his assistance. Heruki replies by pushing his sister away and reminding her that they cannot kiss because they are siblings. Matsuki goes silent and runs into her room. Heruki feels compelled to apologize and approaches her. However, Matsuki turns around, clutching the play script, and informs him that there is no kiss scene. He had messed up the roles, which explains her earlier reaction. Another night, Heruki is lying in front of Yayo's bedroom door, pleading for help since he is ill and unable to return to his room. Yayoi brings him to her room and tells him he needs to rest because he has school the next day. Despite her disagreement with leaving him alone, she falls asleep, concerned about her brother's condition. The next day, in the dining room, all of the sisters meet, and the youngest inquires about Heruki. Yayoi tells them he's sick. Meanwhile, in Haruki's room, he tries not to wet the bed since he desperately wants to use the restroom, but is unable to get up. He eventually falls asleep. When he wakes up, he notices Yayoi taking care of him. Heruki expresses gratitude, and Yayoi tries to care for him alone. While she is removing his shirt to wipe away sweat, the other sisters enter and discover Heruki and Yayoi in a very compromising position, causing misunderstandings. They start mocking Yayoi, who storms out of the room after punching Heruki, leaving him sick and in pain. In this chapter, the sisters watch a terrifying horror film as Heruki plays video games. Yayoi surprisingly confesses her want to sleep with him. Heruki, concerned for his sister's health, takes her to his room. On the way, he comes across two little sisters who are going to the potty and ask Heruki to wait for them. Despite his initial reluctance, they begin crying, forcing him to agree and leaving Heruki perplexed by their actions. Heruki returns to his room and finds Matsuki sleeping in his bed. When he attempts to wake her up, she hugs him. At that point, the other sisters enter the room and decide to sleep with him tonight. They all settle down on the floor to sleep, and Heruki believes he doesn't mind the notion of everyone sleeping together on occasion. The next day, Heruki tells his sisters that they can rely on him, but they ignore him, giggling, and say that it's best not to watch horror movies for a while, which explains why they agreed to sleep with him. Then, in the OVA, everyone has gone to a public bath, where the little girls are enthusiastic about the prospect of drinking lattes after bathing. Despite their eagerness, their older sisters caution them to shower first. During this process, Yayoi is embarrassed while wearing a towel, and Yuzuki, in a fit of mischief, immediately removes the towel from her, resulting in a fight between them. Matsuki steps in to calm them down. Later, everyone enjoys a shower before entering the hot pool. Meanwhile, Heruki is lost in intrusive thoughts, imagining amusing and unusual scenarios with his sisters, while reflecting on how difficult it is for him to feel at ease in such a circumstance. After leaving the public bath, the girls are eager to sip their lattes, but they are unhappy to find them in a box rather than a bottle. A lady in the store says that the presentation has altered. The girls, with their boxes of latte, decide that the next time they visit, they will look for an establishment that serves coffee in bottles. Heruki then catches Yayoi drinking hers and begins taunting her, comparing her to Matsuki. This prompts Yayoi to flee in tears, but despite the minor altercation, everyone has a great time during the day.
Thank you for watching to this point. This is not the end. For part 2, don't forget to like and subscribe. We got other interesting anime recaps for you. Choose the left or the right video.